This TikToker was facing some serious time for terrorizing subway passengers and as a result was locked up for about 10 months. So meet the Belgian influencer who's spent months pouring buckets of unknown liquids onto random passengers of the subway and somehow now, after being locked up for 10 months in pretrial detention, just walked free with what might be one of the more lenient sentences that we've seen in a long time. Because I mean, most of the time when it comes to scumbag influencers I cover here on this channel, the updates we cover are usually about them getting arrested, sentenced, and how long they'll be serving in prison. However, this time, it's clearly very different. And the reason why this has happened might be a little bit more complicated than most people would think. But in case you don't remember who we're talking about Yannick. And he's built an entire online career off of assaulting random strangers with buckets of the most disgusting slop that you can imagine. We're talking about mixing paint, beer, food, leftovers, dog waste, all in one bucket, taking it to the subway and just dumping it over a random person. And this could be ranging from a homeless person to an elderly person to a 9-year-old kid. So any reasonable person would see this and go, lock him up and throw away the key. We don't want this in society. But I guess Belgium thinks 10 months is enough for this, which who knows? It might be. Maybe he learned his lesson. I hope he did. But Yannick was arrested on January 3rd of 2024 after a judicial investigation was initiated. This follows the Brussels Public Transport Company filing a series of complaints. He was released on bail just 5 days later on January 8th under strict conditions. And instead of, reconsidering his life choices and, just stop assaulting people, he decided, hey, let me just do that again. So he decided to just return and publish a new episode of his Scumbag series in which, again, he pours some bucket of sludge over people on the train. And then just a few days later, he branched out into another complete moronic idea where he decided to just pelt strangers with eggs on the street of Brussels. Because apparently, he's just a great person to have in society. So when he was confronted about this in court, Yannick defended himself, claiming that the subway video that he posted after he released wasn't actually new content. Now, he just had that backlogged and he was just out on bail and he was like, you know what? Might as well release another one for good measures. Why not? Clearly, the dude's no rocket scientist. But also, apparently it didn't even hurt him that much doing that. But essentially what he did with that was, here you go, investigators, have some more evidence. And according to them, he had recorded that before his arrest and had decided to upload it afterwards. In his own words, he didn't think about it properly. I don't know if the timing of when you filmed yourself committing the assault is the key issue here, but either way, that is extremely stupid. And then when confronted about the egg videos, he admitted to throwing the eggs, but also said, I never would have thought that anyone would actually file a complaint. What? You never thought anyone would file a complaint about a stranger throwing eggs on them while they're just trying to do normal stuff in the city? Does this dude just think he's living in some sort of TV show where he's the main character and everyone else is just around him and they're just paid actors in his environment? He gets to roam free and do whatever he wants to. What kind of delusional bubble do you have to be in to think that assaulting someone random on the street wouldn't result in people being upset and filing police reports? Clearly, this guy doesn't have a single shred of any self-awareness in his body. But it gets so much worse because, as we covered last time, on August 27, 2024, the police conducted a search of Yannick's home. And here, I guess, he decided to show them how much he's reformed from his previous legal troubles. So not only did he resist the officers trying to do their job, but they also found 2 cans of pepper spray during the search. So you have resisting the officers and the illegal weapons charges are what finally landed him back in the detention center and Heron prison. Because apparently pepper spray is illegal in Belgium. I didn't know this, but there, he spent about 10 months waiting for his trial. So the charges he was facing in total were 7, including violation of bail, insulting state agents, resisting against the police, possession of prohibited weapons, intentional assault and battery, destruction of public property, and distribution of dangerous looking substances. So that's quite a rap sheet to have right there. Now, if you'd fast forward to this trial that happened last month, the judge wasn't messing around. He did acquit him of one charge, the distribution of dangerous looking substances one. I guess they just decided while dumping mystery sludge on people is definitely assault, it wasn't quite dangerous enough to warrant that particular charge. My thought though is what if someone is allergic to whatever he threw into that sludge? I don't know. I feel like it's dangerous either way. But for the other charges, they initially demanded 30 months of prison time for the buckets incidents, plus an additional year for the egg throwing and resisting arrest. So in total, that would have been around 3.5 years in prison for everything that he did. And the deputy public prosecutor laid out exactly why this case was so severe, pointing out that one of the influencer victims was a homeless person who was sleeping on the street. Another being a 9-year-old girl who had a bucket of this disgusting mixture thrown on her for one of his videos.
What? Ça vient d'où? Qui c'est qui m'a fait ça?
Like, it's just so disgusting to me that he dumped a random bucket of sludge on a 9-year-old girl, traumatizing her and humiliating her just because he wanted some attention on social media. I am shocked he wasn't thrown in prison for that alone. And the prosecution also highlighted something that really shows Yanike's complete lack of remorse and understanding of the situation, because when the investigating judge ordered him to remove the YouTube channel, Yanike said no. So when he was asked about this in court, his response was, "I didn't know that I could end up in jail again because of that." Okay, well, that's fine then, sir. Oh, you didn't know? Go on, harass people in public. You didn't know. Like, that's your get out of jail free card. And apparently, it kind of is a get out of jail free card in Belgium. Belgium might be cooked. But obviously, Yanike's lawyer tried to plead for a lighter sentence, arguing that Yanike would benefit more from follow-up and guidance, and that he plans to pursue education. It's a little late, but hey. I mean, this is just such a frustrating story and case as well. Because, as it turns out, at the end of the trial, the judge agreed to the defense's plea of a milder sentence. So Yanike was sentenced to just 15 months of probation. That means that he is walking free right now as long as he doesn't violate certain conditions, like returning to his channel and uploading more videos of himself terrorizing the people of Brussels. So as long as he doesn't do that, he can basically just go free about his life. So TLDR, he essentially got 15 months of please be a normal human being. That would be great, sir. That was the punishment he received. Meanwhile, his two friends who helped him filming these pranks, they got sentenced to 100 hours of community service each. So all in all, Yanike spent 10 months in a pretrial detention center from August of 2024 until June of 2025. So it's not like he got off completely free, but you can definitely say that this was a slap on the wrist compared to what he could have been getting here. However, as anyone might expect, people online weren't exactly thrilled with this outcome. Reddit threads about the verdict were filled with people expressing their disbelief as what they saw was a highly lenient sentence. Yeah, you could see these comments here. I mean, the general statement just seemed to be that 15 months suspended was barely a slap on the wrist for someone who had been spending months terrorizing innocent people and filming it for their entertainment. And many people were pointing out his sentence and what regular people face for much less serious offenses. Others were questioning whether the justice system was sending the right message to other potential pranksters who might be watching this case. And I mean, honestly, it's hard to blame them for being frustrated from this. From my perspective, you don't know people's medical history. You don't know what people are allergic to. Either way, this is extremely dangerous, pouring a bucket of an unknown substance on someone's head in public. And also just like, no one wants that done to them. Treat people as you would want to be treated. What happened to that? But I guess here's where the story gets a little bit more complicated and where Yanike's slap on the wrist sentence starts to make a little bit more sense, because Belgium is currently dealing with a massive prison overcrowding crisis that's affecting how justice is served across the country. According to the recent reports from the Brussels Times, the Belgian prison system is housing over 13,000 inmates despite having capacity of only about 11,000. So that currently means that 2,000 people are crammed into a system that simply can't handle them. The situation is apparently so bad that 320 inmates are sleeping on mattresses on cell floors. And this isn't just like a temporary problem. These numbers represent an all-time high for the Belgian prison system, which has been ongoing since at least 2014. And apparently, courts are under constant pressure to find alternatives to imprisonment because there just isn't enough space for everyone who gets sentenced. An article from the Brussels Times stated that over 700 convicts were released early to create space for new inmates. So with all this in mind, when you look at Yanike's suspended sentence, it starts to make a little bit more sense. The judge might have wanted to give him actual prison for this, but knew doing so would mean they would probably have to release someone else. Again, this doesn't make the outcome any more satisfying for all the victims or people who were hoping to see some sort of real consequences for this guy, but it does explain why someone who spent months assaulting strangers for YouTube views can, I guess, walk around with a very low punishment. But I guess the truly concerning aspect of the situation is the message it sends to other aspiring content creators in Belgium who may be watching, or even to Yanike himself. Like, the suspended sentence might just be enough of a slap of the wrist for him to where as soon as he's off probation, he might just pick off where he left off. And I hate that I ended my last video on him saying like, hey, at least the people of Brussels, they can relax and take the subway without the fear of some moron pouring a bucket of who knows what on them, while they're simply just trying to get from point A to point B. Apparently, that could be a reality now. So, hey, if we ever receive another update on this guy, I'll probably cover it. Either way, feel free to subscribe to this channel if you're new, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.